folks, we're back. It is not Friday night tonight, and it is just after 9 o'clock, though, so we are consistent in that matter. It is, in fact, a Monday night, and it is Tic Talking. And don't adjust your sets. It's the usual Friday night team here because we have to come on tonight because, again, I've said this before. I've said it quite a lot this season, Liam. There's never a dull moment with this club. Of course, Fergus McCann said it years ago. It's not easy supporting Celtic, but it's always worthwhile. And yes, tonight, the end of an era, as you said, we should call it, instead of an era. And it's true. Wilfried Nancy is gone. And what is old is new again. Martin O'Neill is back after 4 weeks away. He's now back as the manager, and Sean Maloney will step in as his assistant, and Big Fozzie's back. I'm sure Terry will be cracking a vodka open for that one. Steve McManus, and yeah, it's just basically what it was a month ago. And what a fever dream it's all been. We can file Wilfried Nancy next to Dom Mackay in terms of just weird periods in Celtic history. But yeah, we've got a lot to get into tonight. Liam, a lot to talk about this fine Monday evening. But first and foremost, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, it was with the time difference here, that's what I woke up to. I woke up to this morning, I could hear the WhatsApp going, I got right, something's happened, right? I'm thinking we probably signed somebody, and I'm expecting some donkey for Israel or some Exeter reject or something, you know what was going on. And no, lo and behold, Nancy gone. And then Tisdale follows out the door with him. So, good start to a Monday. Start of the new year. I'd say it's a pretty good start after a kind of shitey weekend. I'll tell you what, that game Saturday morning scunnered me. I was like, imagine starting your weekend. Wasn't even, when I did the post-match, the sun wasn't even up yet. Imagine starting the first weekend of the new year and you're in a bad mood because Celtic gets beat. But that's what that game was like. It really just pulled everything out of you, and it just looked like, oh shit, this looks like we're going to be boycotted, and it looks like, just things are going to be wrong with, out of it. But now I feel like, okay, we've got a chance. We've got a chance.
Yeah, we have given ourselves a chance, and we'll get into all the news tonight. But yeah, before we do that, of course, you know what to do, folks. I say it on a Friday night, and I'll say it again tonight. Do all the good stuff and help us out massively. Hit the old like button. If you're happy that Wilfried Nancy is gone, hit the like button. Go on, you want to. Helps us out again with the old traction, the old algorithm, and YouTube. People who like Celtic and podcast-related content are more likely to discover us. Of course, if you do discover us as well tonight, or in any of the shows that we do, and you like what we do, then hit the subscribe button and keep us in your life that wee bit longer with a bell notification as well, so you know when we're on the road. Also, what else can you do? Of course, you share the link of this new channel far and wide. So we are now about 6 months into this, so we're growing nicely. Connor actually did a show earlier on. He recorded a Carmageddon as well. Be sure to check that out. And he did mention that the numbers have been pretty good recently, but that's usually down to the fact that we've had some shocking results, to say the least, and that always resulted in some of the numbers of shows going up. But either way, if you're a Celtic fan, subscribe to us, and thank you very much. We appreciate it massively. And if you want to become a Boys in the Bus member, you can do so if you wish for $1.99 a month, and just a wee doff of the cap to the boys on the team here, and just keeps the old diesel in the tank, keeps everything ticking over. And as always say, we're never going to put anything behind the paywall. We'll always be free here on YouTube. It's just a wee sort of thanks to the guys. But anyway, all that said and done, Liam. So yes, story time first and foremost. So today, after I finished my shift at 3 o'clock, first thing I did after that is I head straight to the gym, try and get a wee hour and a half in. The second I stepped on the treadmill, my phone went nuts. It was like the timing could not have been any worse for me, because I'm in the zone and I'm ready for like a good 90-minute cardio session. And I literally just punched in my details on the treadmill, hit start, and then my phone was just buzzing like crazy. I must have had about 6 WhatsApp messages, 3 messages on Facebook Messenger, and 2 Twitter DMs, and all from people saying the same thing. Wilfried Nancy is gone, and it's one of these, is this a Photoshop? Is this somebody like trolling? Is this like a Rangers fan that's put an elaborate article together and you click on it? It's actually leading to something like the report of them beating us 3-1 at the weekend. No, indeed, it was actually true. I mean, obviously, you, Terry, and Connor were on doing the post-match, and obviously he's very dejected. I was watching the live comments coming in. There was a few people who were just adamant, like, he's not going to get sacked. This board will just not do it. They just won't admit they're wrong. They won't just put their hands up and say, we made a complete mess of this. We all, and I don't blame them for thinking that way. The track record shows it. But yeah, they actually did. They've actually done it. And it's not just Wilfried, he's gone. Obviously, it said his whole backroom team is gone. Does this include Gavin Strachan? I wonder. And obviously, the big one that many people have pointed out says it's all well and good getting rid of Wilfried Nancy, but Paul Tisdale has to hang for this. He has to. He is the guy that is apparently responsible for bringing him in. It was his recommendation. And yeah, he's gone as well. He's gone, thankfully, too. And I say fair play to the club for actually doing something progressive and actually making moves. And yeah, we now go back to how it was 4 weeks ago. And hopefully, when it comes to the end of the season, we're not and going, we missed out on the league title by X amount of points. If only we hadn't had that moment of madness in December, I think it would have been different. Hopefully, though, but I feel like there's enough time. Still half a season to go. I hope we don't live to regret that mad moment during December of making that appointment, because yeah, it could be costly on the park and off the park with the finances as well, because Champions League football is the goal here. I say we've now done something to try and remedy it, Liam.
I mean, 33 days. 33 days, and you look at the destruction that was done then. If you go back, the 33 days was appointed by Paul Tisdale. I thank God he's gone as well, because that's what really needs to be looked into. That was just an appointment that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. That was a guy that had no track record, other than just failure. He had a brief stint or a stint with Exeter with a wee bit of success, but even that success, it wasn't scalable to what we were looking for as Celtic supporters and a club like Celtic should be trying to do. And then after that, it was just one failure after another. I mean, getting sacked for a team like Stevenage and then walking into the Celtic job. I mean, with everything that's went on, that was the one that we should look at, who appointed him? Because he's the one that appointed Nancy. He was the one that's brought in just absolute dross of players. And he has pointed out in his interviews, or just like, I guess that one interview that he had with some fans group or investors group, that he has absolutely no big scale idea what is Celtic Football Club, what is the foundation, what the principles are, the values. None of that seemed to align with what the support had in mind. And so it's great that we pulled the trigger fast, and it's great that we've got rid of those two. 33 days, still a lot of damage. We could have won a cup. We've paid millions. We've said really, really poor signings. But if you go back to him being appointed last year, that's when you can see it all started. And then at some point, there has to be some sort of accountability of, okay, how did this guy get in the door? Because it just seems like a grift. There's just something no right about that. And it's like, is Desmond that naive? Is it that easy to fool? Because I don't know. It seems very, very calculated in a way. Like, who's the very worst possible person we could put in that position that would really piss off the fans? And without going to Rangers, for a next player or something like that, I think they found the next best thing was to put in some sort of anonymous numpty with no track record of success and no accountability. So, yeah, I think we made the right move today, but it's a rectifying, it's a fix. It's not, it's not a way forward right now. Right now, it's damage control, and that's what we see. And thank God for all the fans that showed up outside the park that made their message known, that were vocal about it, a non-violent way. Everything that needed to be done there was said. I saw them taking pictures through the window, and I'm sure that was probably sent to Desmond, I hope, and not for any nefarious reasons. But well done for fan action.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at getting the rest of the fans back into the stadium and see if we can move on from here. Seen some stuff in the comments as well that Peter Lyle's still in the building.
Yeah, there's a report doing the rounds today that he's still associated with the club in some kind of way. I don't know all the ins and outs about it, but I've just seen it flashing up on Twitter earlier on. But would it even surprise you? Did he even leave in the first place in 2021? Did he really? You know, a lot of fans point to that and say he was always in the background. They always felt, and then he snuck back in to officially announce as the chairman. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise you with that one. So yeah, that could be a dampener, I suppose, if he's still got some kind of control or influence. But as you say, it's a fix for now for the immediate future, it seems. But obviously long term, I don't think right now is a time to think about long term anyway. It was just like, as you say, I think damage control is the best way to put it, Liam. It really is, because yeah, we were hemorrhaging points there to teams that we really shouldn't be. We really shouldn't be losing to teams like Dundee United, who obviously we play this coming weekend. You know, Rangers, who had the worst start they've ever had in their history, who they're level points with us, because again, just some of the moronic stuff that we have done. All the great work that Martin O'Neill managed to do in 7 weeks or something like that, 8 games that he played, and it was all undone in a matter of 3.5 weeks, pretty much, 33 days. So yeah, the 4.5 weeks it was in 4, it would be. So yeah, that's where we're at. We've managed to end up bringing them back in. Hearts have managed to keep us at arm's length again. We've got a Hearts game coming up as well at the end of January. So God almighty, I mean, that already was a must-win game, but I suppose now fans are probably feeling just that wee bit better now that Martin and Sean Maloney are back in the dugout after what we saw there. I mean, Hearts will still be tough, and there's still a lot of work to be done. The January window's open now, and it can't just be the manager change. Martin O'Neill even addressed that a few times for that stint he had, that he didn't feel the squad was strong enough. So now, even if it's loan signings to just get us through to the end of the season, which I've got a funny feeling it's mostly going to be loan signings, but that's where we're at. We have to act quickly on this, because that game with Hearts at the end of the month is imperative that we come away with 3 points now.
Aye, so we talked about on Friday about, was it Bell Walker coming in?
James Bell Walker, yeah.
Right, sounds like a whiskey. But that was significant. I think that him coming in for Chelsea, was maybe the writing on the wall for Tisdale, because that was a scout that actually has a bit of news in the game as far as working with Chelsea. Like them or not, they are a big club. So imagine, we're looking at a much higher level player than a guy that came through Stevenage could identify. So I think that might have been right in the wall. The other thing I found really pivotal and surprising was Rod Stewart coming out. Rod Stewart,
you've seen that video?
Aye. Well, he followed up with another one today saying...
Oh, as I say, have you seen that one today? Oh, Jesus.
Well, that was really unusual, because I always thought him would be like staunch, I'm with the board on this one, let's dig in our heels, but the actual supporter side of him came through. I mean, he's still a Tory and that, but the supporter side of him came through at that point. And you wonder if him with, just that sort of star power, and, they must just crawl up his arse when he's in the boardroom and that, because it's Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
I wonder if that had a significant factor into it, and, knowing that, wow, Christ, if Rod's turned on us and saying we got it wrong, maybe we have. I mean, I hate to think that we can be, swayed by just, a couple hundred gold records, But yeah, that was interesting to see, and there must have been other ones as well too. Martin still seems fully aligned with the board. Yeah. He still seems to be very much not so much an apologist, because now, he's got a longer stint in this. He's not much doing us a favour. He's got to produce, and he'll not want to ruin his legacy, which he's done so well to revitalise and and show up to a whole new generation of Celtic fans that were never able to experience him, in his last stint here, and see what the man is like, and see what Celtic values he brings to this club and all that. And so, yeah, let's see how it starts off. I mean, and we're lucky now that there's a window, and so now we'll see now if there's significant change by who the first player that comes in under the O'Neill, Bell, Walker,
Fozzie.
Maloney
Right,
era.
Fozzie.
You know?
Yeah, it's, did you watch Martin O'Neill's interview with your favourite person, Jerry McCulloch, earlier on?
I heard that. I was listening to, was it one Celtic band? He was live and he was playing it on his, was it Baz? You know, Terry likes him. It was quite good. But I could hear him, and it was just Jerry's he's just so cardboard, isn't he?
I know. Luckily, he didn't ask Martin O'Neill's generic 6 questions. That'd be a bit out of place if he did. But
when did you first find out you were getting
Celtic? When did you first find out about Celtic?
Was it when you cancelled all your public appearances a couple of days ago?
No smoke without fire, you know.
I saw Reagan on the WhatsApp had he's saying that Nancy was notified yesterday and that, and you know, they went up into the Highlands to go and do some sightseeing before.
We spotted at Loch Lomond. I was beginning to get worried he was going to do a Russell Martin and take the players out to Loch Lomond for a cold water dip. That's what I thought. That's where I thought things were going, and I was like, man, can this get any worse? Really? Get it? As a Mick McCarthy meme goes, it can, you know. So I don't want to find out, and luckily we won't find out. But yeah, the Martin O'Neill clip earlier on, I noticed again, he's been very, very smart in the way that he's done this since, you know, he had his stint. And then obviously he said to me, he keeps bringing this up about, you know, I only had 15 minutes with him. And he's always emphasising that I would have been open to more of a dialogue with him, but evidently he didn't want it. That's essentially what he's telling us. And that was a red flag right from day one. It's like, well, you're coming in mid-season. The games are going to come thick and fast here. You're coming into an environment that you've never, ever experienced. And it showed with a lot of his comments because he always felt like, yeah, this guy just isn't quite understanding the gravity of the situation. But Martin O'Neill has been very consistent in saying that I would have been available for any advice he needed, but evidently didn't want it. And yeah, that should have been, was a bit of a red flag right away. It's like, yeah, this guy, very headstrong. He wants to do it his way. Doesn't want the advice. Literally a 15-minute chat with, it goes without saying, a legend, a club legend, without a shadow of a doubt. It's like, surely God, if this guy is offering himself to you for anything that you need coming into this job, you lean on it as much as possible. 15 minutes is all he gave him. And
I think that's Martin O'Neill being. Remember, Martin O'Neill's a fully qualified lawyer.
Yeah, right? That's true, actually. Aye.
And so he's very articulate, but also very savvy with his choice of words and that. And the fact that he's brought that up a second time is just an easy way for him to say that arrogance and ego could have been part of Nancy's downfall. And I'm sure somebody like Martin, who's, you know, and you hear through the players and all that, you know, how, you know, we see his lovely, cuddly Uncle Martin with the tracksuit top and all that, but then you hear players like Petrov and Hartson and Sutton talking about, you know, fearing this man in the dressing room because he can be so acerbic and cutting. You know, that's his way of letting you know that sort of arrogance, I don't think he appreciated it. I think he probably felt that he offered himself up to a meeting with Nancy, and the fact that it was a 15-minute sort of like polite discussion, you know. And,
a literal handover.
Aye.
The wee picture that Terry keeps bringing up, the WEI picture, him handing him the keys to the car, you know, that's literally what it was, a handover. You know, that's all it seems to be. So, yeah, to me, I'm like, yeah, Wilfried, that was a bad sign right off the bat. But I say, Martin, it was almost like he was trying to warn us right away. You know, I would have gave him more time, but he obviously didn't want it. A quick comment I'm going to bring up here from Jim C. says, so does Martin get to sign 3 players, at least a decent striker? Hey, maybe Johnny Kenny will start scoring again, because remember, under Martin O'Neill, Johnny Kenny actually scored some goals. I mean, to be fair, we have to be doing a lot better than that. As much as Martin O'Neill got a rise out of Johnny Kenny for a few weeks, it's like, come on, man. It needs to be better than that. See, the transfer window is literally open. If it's a case of his loans, I say, through the end of the season, because as we're led to believe, this will be to the end of the season and then off into the sunset. So hopefully, you know, it's not like, well, we'll deal with it when we come to it, but obviously we want, you know, the ending to be a double potentially. I mean, right now, the league title is a very bare minimum. If we win the Scottish Cup as well, then happy days. But right now, the league title is the focus. So but as I said earlier on, I don't want to try and think too much at the long term, but it is hard. You'll start drifting that way and thinking the long term. But yeah, right now we're in a position where we have to just fix the short term. But in regards to signings, in terms of Jim C, I would be confident now in saying that I think the Ivorian boy that we've been looking at, is it Jocelyn Bai or something like that is pronounced? He plays in Israel, which right away is a bit of a weird one there. I don't know if that's a good idea there, Celtic board, but then again, when have the Celtic board done smart things? But yeah, his stats just look horrific. But now that Paul Tisdale is out the door, I would imagine that was all a Paul Tisdale signing. It has a lot of the hallmarks of the type of deals that he's been looking to do in the last year or whatever. It was like 2 goals, 2 assists. He's not even an out-and-out striker. He's actually a winger, but we don't play wingers in this 3-4-3 formation. So it's like, what was the point in this guy? So I think I would think that one's going to be thrown in the bin now. I'd like to think so anyway, because the signing did not inspire me one bit, Liam, that one.
No, not at all. I mean, I thought our days of shopping in Israel were done. You know, just
do the hand just around the corner, mate.
The hand, Lennon connection, and it just seems weird. I'm sure as hell this isn't the Chelsea guy signing. I bet they're no shopping in that market. Yeah. I still want to see us be inspiring as far as what we get in for a striker. Let's look at Serbia. Let's look at Bulgaria. Let's look at Croatia. Let's look at some of these Eastern European type countries that we were looking at. I mean, we had really good luck signing players for Russia at one point, where we had a few players that came in, Starfelt, maybe that.
They all came for the same club, if I remember right. Was it Ruben Kazan? They all came for there. And then there was the Danish guy that didn't get many games, Abelgard. It was him. They all came in
yeah. But you know what? But it shows you there's a market there as well, and I'm sure there's plenty of players, looking to come out and do Scotland. Go to Scotland and play. I think we'll see in the first couple of signings. I'm excited to see who we're going to land as a striker, because we get one striker and that changes everything. Our biggest problem is, and Nancy's biggest problem is, we had nobody that could score goals. And the fact that Tisdale couldn't get anybody identified and across the line on that 1st of January to show up, the day before, 2 days before, get ready, and just start. Somebody had been playing, somebody had been scoring, no projects, somebody that could hit the ground running. I think that's what signed his calves as well. They got him. That should have been one of the first things that we had against Rangers, was a spark plug. Somebody to come in that's going to lift the fans off their seats, going to get the players motivated as well. Because again, there's a new face coming in, a target man, but somebody that's been prolific and has actually scored goals this year and will continue to score goals. There's plenty of them out there. We've seen them identified loads of times in the chat, and that is that boy in Romania, boy. I mean, honestly, it's a scouting job, and that's what you needed today. Find somebody that wasn't Johnny Kenny.
Pretty much.
He's still got another 4 years left, Johnny Kenny. So I don't know if we'll get rid of him that easy, unless we loan him out to somebody.
It'll be one of those things. We'll get a few loans till he quietly disappears in a couple of years' time. It'll be something like that, because this boy he's not it. I mean, some people have said over the weekend there he'd do well to get into like Livingston's team, and they're the worst team in the Scottish Premiership right now. So he got a couple of goals under Martin O'Neill. He'll always have a goal against Rangers on his CV in a cup semi-final. But he's shown over the last few weeks in particular, when he is bereft of confidence, he is absolutely on the floor. Like, can't trust him at all in front of goal. And I mean, literally right in front of the goal. But yeah, see, with signings, it's a striker is a must. Going back to a more stable formation, 4 at the back. I mean, I know Tony Ralston gets all the flag, but we did actually sign a right back. We have actually signed somebody that plays right full back. So if we are going to switch back to a back 4, which is 100% going to happen now, it's going to be Trusty and Scales probably in the middle, Tierney on the left, and now we've got Arojo there till Johnston comes back. So at least now, hopefully it's not going to be Ralston. But again, the problem with Arojo is he's he's not played much football. You know, he's not. I said that the other night about my big concern is he's only played like a Carabao Cup game that gets sent off in this season, so he's going to get a phased entry into the first team. But hey, at least it's a right back there that isn't Anthony Ralston, but it might still be for the time being. We still have to persevere with that one, but hopefully we can accelerate. Or also, we can go out and maybe get another one that is match ready and is fit and ready to go. But hey, what do I know? I wonder what Martin O'Neill though will think though of the progress of Benjamin Negrin in the last 4 weeks. He challenged him. Liam, remember in that video, you go and be the fourth best suite behind Henrik Larsson, Aber, and Bjorn Borg. I don't think he's done very much to get back in there, but you know, Negrin did all right for that wee period under Martin O'Neill. Scored a nice goal out in Rotterdam. Again, it's like you just want Martin O'Neill just to be able to just make the players feel, 10 feet tall. That's all it can take sometimes, just to, one, give them simple instructions, because I've come to the conclusion that our players clearly don't like being overloaded with too many instructions, which is obviously a massive problem for the last few weeks. But under Martin O'Neill, he was just been keeping it very, very simple. Just probably telling them to just play their natural game, just go out there and just do what you do best, and it'll all click into place. And yeah, some people will point to the football at times was a bit ugly, but hey, we were winning. I'd much rather win ugly than some of the performances in the last few weeks where, say, we dominated the first half and then completely dropped off in the second half. I mean, it's a worrying sign that at the game on Saturday, I was literally saying to the guy next to me, Chris, and my dad around me at the game, I was saying at half time, I'm like, I've just got a bad feeling about this, a real sinking feeling. 1-0 up at the break. We've played well by all intents and purposes. We've played very well in the first half. But I'm like, I've seen this movie just 2 weeks ago up at Tannadice. We missed loads and loads of chances. I just worry if Rangers get a goal here, we're going to go, our nerves are just going to go to shit. And they did. That's exactly what happened. They got an equaliser early in the second half. And just like up at Tannadice, we just fell to pieces. So yeah, they need to just get their confidence back as well, because they showed for that period under O'Neill, they can get the job done. But that'll be his, again, looking at what O'Neill did in those 7 weeks. Maloney was definitely the tactician guy. O'Neill was simply there to be the guy to G them up, to motivate them, to make them feel 10 feet tall, and it obviously worked. And that's all well and good. If Maloney is the brains behind it, then so be it. If it gets us the results, Liam, then that's all that matters at this stage. Results business, unlike what Wilfried Nancy said for the last few weeks, it's all about results here in Glasgow.
Well, so what are we looking for? Are we looking for an undefeated run then to the end of the season? And if we do something like that, does that mean Maloney takes over? I mean, we predicted this at the beginning of the season that Maloney would end up being in charge. I mean, that could very well happen. Yeah. And if it does, it's like, okay, is that earned? Because it's all about, credit and that. I mean, we were quick to dismiss Martin because we've already sort of made our mind up that we've got to get somebody new. I mean, I don't know. It's very much his to lose in that sense. Where this is an opportunity. If he just wants to be the football pathway manager, that's fine. But if he does show, that he's got something tactically, strategically, and he can get the same sort of motivation, from watching Martin and following Martin and having played with Martin, then that might not be a bad shout. And I know this could bite me in the arse here for saying that, but yeah, I think it's up to him to sort of take advantage of this opportunity and see if this is something that he wants to do. Could he end up being a great manager for Celtic? You never know. I mean, I'd much rather see what he's like in this, this remaining 5 months, and see, does he have it? If not, I don't want to take a gamble on a Scott Brown or someone like that, or go back with somebody like another Nancy type appointment. I think we've learned a lesson. Well, I think we needed somebody that's more attached to the club, and I'm not meaning getting us Celtic minded again with jobs for the boys and that. But I think it was JP Selt had it early in the chat, which is just sort of scanning by the way. Yeah. That David Moyes might be a good shout.
Moyes, he's doing very well at Everton. To be fair, he's kind of reinvented himself at Everton after the West Ham debacle, where they forced him out despite winning a European trophy. Imagine that. Now they're going to get relegated probably for their troubles. Oh well, sucks to be them.
So what other names have you heard? So far this morning I've heard McKenna.
Oh,
McKenna's a name. Supposedly he has a Celtic connection. Is supposedly a Celtic supporter. He's at Ipswich. Craig Bellamy, another Celtic connection.
I haven't heard many names other than Ange Postecoglou. It's the only name that I've heard. To be fair, I've been about the loop tonight. Other than, as I say, I was in the gym when it was all kicking off, and it was just going mental. But yeah, the only other names that I've heard floating about is potentially Ange. But again, it's trying to think of the long term right now is tough. Again, with Celtic, they took a chance and went for something completely outside the box, and it backfired massively. They need to really do their due diligence here. They need to take the next 6 months, let Martin O'Neill and Maloney guide it to the end of the season. I say, hopefully, we get the ending that we want to this season. And it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely not, but we're going to have to grind it out a lot of times. There's going to be a lot of ugly performances. But hey, if it gets us a win, we win these games. It's a lot better than what's happened in the last 4.5 weeks. But yeah, in the summer, if it is a case of, thanks Martin and Sean for what he's did, they could potentially the key word, win a double. My God, they could ride off into the sunset after that. I do agree with you. How many times did I say it on here? I kept on chopping on about the Maloney thing. I always had that feeling that if O'Neill and Maloney stayed to the end of the season and we did win a treble or a double, they would do what they did with Neil Lennon in 2019 on the back of the buzz and the success. They'll just give it to the one that's sort of like the underwhelming appointment. And I feel that Maloney would be. I think he'd be a good coach on a backroom staff, but I don't ever see him as a number one. But I think he's got a good tactical mind for it. But in terms of managers, I don't know at the moment who would be. And I say I've not seen enough names swirling around linked. But I get a funny feeling, Liam, we're not going to get many names getting properly linked until close at the end of the season, I think.
So Phil, Strangelove the Doctor's got a comment here, and I agree with it as well. He's talking about Ange. But Ange would have to really get the confidence of the board to do that. And, I thought that was something that we were going to get with the reappointment of Rodgers. I didn't like the way Rodgers left. I was never a big fan of Rodgers' football. The Clarkson ended up, shifting beginning of the season from Greg Taylor to Brendan Rodgers, in my point of view. But, I thought that, with Rodgers coming back, I was thinking the board would have had to make him very significant promises that that he was going to be able to build something or that. But I don't know, he's not been a builder, has he? With Ange to come back, what I liked about when Ange was here is he had a football view, more like a so-called football doctor, where he was fixing the club from the B team and the youths right through to how we're going to play to the first team, so that it was everybody was playing Ange ball. That was going to be the identifying characteristic of Celtic, that we would have this fast, free flowing, non-stop, and might win 4-3.
We never stopped.
But they never backed him up. At some point, they stopped backing him, and I don't know how that happened. And is he going to come back knowing that those same people are in place? The ones that were fucking cock blocked him for doing what he wanted to do is not just a manager, but as somebody that had a total vision of turning us into like an Ajax type academy team where you're getting players that come to Celtic. That even if we're bringing on the B team and stuff to sell them, that you've got like a vision and there's a set of standards and an identity in their playing style, that can just cross over, so that when one position moves, you're able to shift somebody else into a similar type position, the same way teams like Ajax and that day. And I don't know. I mean, Ange pretty well lays it on the line, I think. And you never know. He still could get offered a job. You don't know what teams are going to be looking to try and build that same type of style of football. And it might be here, or you might end up in North America even, in the MLS. But it'd be interesting to see how that plays it. But I don't know if Ange would come back. I think he's a bit too savvy for that.
That's
And
what's been putting
from
me
the
off. Every time his
Brendan,
names came up, I've just been like, Ange just seems too, savvy is the word. He would not stand for this. And I think one of the main reasons he did push to get out is he saw the writing on the wall when it came to investment. So Brendan, obviously, I don't know, got hoodwinked essentially with it coming back. We do need to look at something new. I'm totally in favour of that, but they can't go too far outside the box like they did with Wilfried Nancy. It needs to be somebody. I've actually said this before. When it comes to a manager at Celtic and at Rangers, in fairness, because of the size of the clubs and whatnot, and the rivalry, and the way this league is structured, you can't be a rookie manager. You really cannot be like early on in your managerial career. You have to have done something of some sort of note. It's very rare that you do get one that comes along that clicks, because like Steven Gerrard, for example, got the Rangers job and it took him 3 seasons and a worldwide pandemic and all sorts of freaky conditions for us to fall apart that season for him to finally win something. He was pretty much on the verge of the sack before all that happened. Neil Lennon came in, obviously, and took over as a rookie manager. And the first season, he did win the Scottish Cup, his first full season. Second season, we were 15 points behind at one stage, and we managed to claw it back. And then that's when Rangers imploded with the administration and whatnot. But then you get other rookie manager scenarios, like, for example, John Barnes. Look at him. Him coming in, it just consumed him essentially after 8 months, 7 months, whatever it was. He was gone. And amazingly, though, John Barnes hadn't lost as many games as Celtic have this season, which is quite a freaky stat. And yeah, I always feel that with the job, especially in the Glasgow Fishbowl, whoever is the Celtic or Rangers, they have to be somebody that's done something in the game. So to me, Celtic have to be looking in a market where somebody with a bit of notoriety. And the problem is, again, we can speculate all we want, but I genuinely don't think we're going to get lots and lots of names coming up until close at the end of the season. I think right now it is, if you see things getting tweeted and reports and sources say this, I think a lot of it's just pie in the sky at the moment and people just guessing. I don't think it'll be near the end of the season we'll start to get a more concrete idea of where the club's looking, because they have to use this next 5 months, 6 months very, very well, Liam. They have to get it right.
Ian McIntosh here makes a really good point. The fact that Ange's signings, we've never made as much money as we have in player sales from the guys Ange brought in. Do you think the board will look at that?
They do like money, yes.
Board, right? And think, okay, maybe we eat a bit of crow here and go after Ange as well. Let him identify the players. Again, I think we got a board that just get too excited about success and all of a sudden feel they're a part of it. You see that in all sorts of companies and that when, as soon as you get some success, everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants to take control. They all want to, as soon as you're in a successful band, all of a sudden the drummer starts wanting to write songs and all that, and it's like, it's calm down here, you end up with when I'm 64 and Octopus Garden and shit.
Robbie, a real dampener on things for you, Liam. There's a name that's a few people brought up in the chat. Patrick McLaughlin's brought it up. Steve Clark. He's going to be out of job in the summer. No, not Stevie Clark. No, he's done really well with Scotland. Fair play to him. Qualifying for tournaments. It's something that Scotland hadn't done for a long time. Good on him, and I'm looking forward to a degree to watch him in the World Cup, even though they'll probably get ragdolled. But anyway, for Celtic and club football, no. I just can't.
The average age of the youth team will be about 24, 25 if Stevie Clark's involved.
Stevie Clark. I've seen his name a few times. A few people have suggested it. But yeah, it is expected that he will leave his position as Scotland manager in the summer after the World Cup. It is looking that way that he's going to finish up after that. But no, for the love of God, no. But would you rule it out with this board? So you just don't know at this time. But yeah, it's all just to say speculation and whatnot. Obviously, the name's Nicky Hine. People have said about that, but then folk are pointing out, and quite rightly so, he got sacked for a reason because his record recently was abysmal. So there's all that as well to consider. But I say they've got 5 months, 6 months to really, really do their due diligence and get this right. Do we trust them?
So in the next 5 months, are all eyes on Hungary right now and seeing what Robbie Keane does with Bernatchez. I mean,
I've seen that name. I've seen that name coming up.
Appointment. That very much in this board's remit, and, you know, and he, you know, for signing players for Israel, you know, do we take a guy that won the Israeli league, even though he only had a couple of months there? You know?
Yeah. But that name's came up in the chat a few times, and that would fit. With Dermot Desmond's contacts and that.
What do you think of that one then, Phil? Would you go for Keane?
Again, I think he'd be off to a really bad start in the sense of where he's managed before. There'll be a lot of fans that will just be angry about that. I think when Brendan came back, you know, we don't want a manager to come in and he's up against the tidal wave right away, a fan resentment for one reason or another. See, Brendan came back in 2023 and a lot of fans weren't happy to see him back because of how he left in 2019, so he was up against that. Wilfried Nancy coming in there, a lot of fans were just right away like, this is a disaster waiting to happen. And yeah, I guess they were obviously right in the end, or they were totally proven right in that case. But it needs to be somebody that right away every single fan is just united and they're on board with it right away. I think that Robbie Keane, right, where he's managed before, is going to divide a lot of fans. You know, he made some comments when he managed out in Israel defending the country, and as we know, there's a lot of fans will not have forgotten those words. But at the same time, I agree with what you're saying. You know, Dermot Desmond, does he really care what fans think? Does he really? So it does fit the bill of what he would look at. So there is that worry. But it needs to be somebody who genuinely will just instantly, the whole fan base are just on board with it right away. Is such a manager out there that Celtic can attract? I don't know. You don't ask the question.
He makes Giamakis look like a one-club man, doesn't he, with the amount of clubs? I wonder if he'll have the same management career as he had as a player, where, you know, at the end of it, he'll played for 30 clubs and managed 30 clubs. No.
No, you're right. He has been a hell of a CV. You go on his Wikipedia entry and he's got so many teams. A few people saying Tom was saying Keane, not experienced enough yet. Jim C saying Steve Clark, dear Lord, no. Yeah, I know what you mean. Condors, he's been a bit adventurous. What's Mourinho up to in the summer? He's a Benfica manager, isn't he? He got a job. He gets sacked from Fenerbahce and he's the Benfica manager, so he is in a job right now. I don't know if I know Mourinho was humouring the Scottish press a few months ago when Fenerbahce played Rangers, said he would love to manage in Glasgow. Didn't specify which of the two teams, but somehow I don't think Jose Mourinho could be attracted given the board's antics and the money that we probably pay. I don't think he would be going for that one. What else? Just saying Clark is too defensive manager for Celtic. Yeah, I would agree with that. I say that's my biggest concern. He does well for Scotland because Scotland are not expected to win every single game. They can camp in, 10 men behind the ball, hit people on the counter. But with Celtic, it's you've got to be on the front foot. It has to be, you know, attacking football, and domestic games in particular. European games, it might work in European games, maybe if we're not under the cosh. But yeah, in terms of domestic stuff, I don't think many fans would be on board with that one. But yeah, I say as such a manager out there that's going to instantly galvanise all the fans. But say the next 5 months is going to be a roller coaster. If it's not already been a roller coaster this season, Liam, with what we've been through, this is the third different manager that we've had, the fourth manager change, and it's Martin O'Neill twice now. Again, how could you even have written this season? How could you have go back to July and be able to tell yourself what's coming? It's like you couldn't even prepare yourself for this, like the way this season was just going to go. And yeah, you have Brendan Rodgers leaves again. Martin O'Neill comes in, does really well. Then Wilfried Nancy comes in out of nowhere, completely torpedoes the season, puts us on the back foot now. We're just in damage control mode. We're having to claw this back. And I say, thankfully, one of my biggest worries was they were going to give him this full transfer window and it still wasn't working. And then around about March time, then they would sack him when we would probably be double figures behind whoever the league leader is at that point, and it would be gone. I say, at least they've made some kind of move now to try and rectify it. And yeah, it will begin on Saturday with Dundee United at home, a team that's already beaten us this season up at Tannadice a few weeks ago. So revenge will be in the air for that one. But yeah, we'll be back on Friday night to talk about that one. We'll obviously do the Friday feeling and look at that. I think there'll be a bit of a better Friday feeling because I was contemplating the point that when did I change the name of the Friday night show? Because the way things are going right now, Liam, not many of us have got a Friday feeling. You know, when Celtic are playing this weekend, most of us are like want to vomit at the idea of it right now, wanting to watch them. But no, with this change, I think it's going to galvanise a lot of the fans. I know right now I'm more optimistic about the game. There's a lot of murmurs about boycotting going to games from a lot of fans until Wilfried Nancy's removed. At the end of the day, there's still a lot of problems in the boardroom that need removed as well. That can't stop. There has to still be pressure put on them there. But right now, first and foremost, the players on the park need the fans to be with them and get behind them as best they can, because we are in the trenches this season, Liam. We are properly in the trenches. It's all our own doing that we're in these trenches, but we can dig ourselves out now. Or try it.
Timmy Bing's got a good name for the Friday feeling.
Let me have a wee look. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
I could just substitute Friday feeling. Oh, fuck, it's Connor.
Well, aye. Yeah, indeed. That's how I was starting to feel when we were getting to Fridays. I was like, starting to get a bit scunnered, like, oh, no, need a show tonight, need to try and G us up for the game at the weekend. But yeah, it was getting a bit tough there. But no, luckily, Celtic I've made a change.
We'll be talking about a few signings on Friday. That's what I'm hoping. That's the feelings
I want. So as well.
I want the feelings where we're coming out. We're not just talking about Martin again, how much we like his tracksuit, and I'm sure he'll have some belters press conferences. There'll be some great quotes and all that going in. The mood's changed. Hopefully Friday we're talking about a couple of new signings. A big centre half, a big what we used to call a baby eater, you know, like Serbian or something like that.
Like Serbian baby eater, aye.
But just dominate some of these forwards and that have been taking advantages, control the defence, you know, take control, turn around and give Casper shit when he needs it, or hopefully Sinisalo.
Aye, hopefully Sinisalo that's behind them and not Casper Schmeichel.
That's another big decision for Martin and the coaching staff right away. Did they look at Schmeichel and say, okay, listen, I don't want to do him any favours the same way it was said that we did it for Moy. We were trying to get Moy ready for a World Cup so that he'd have a thing. It's like, we are bigger than that. I don't think we owe Casper Schmeichel anything about keeping him in form and shape so that he can perhaps get to a World Cup with Denmark. That's not the way I think we should be playing. He's cost us points. So I think we should be looking at Sinisalo, and if we don't see what we have with Sinisalo, play him now. Give him 2 or 3 games like that, and by the end of the window, let's see if we need to bring in another goalie as well. And I tell you, I think Mitov's a good goalie on a bad team right now. Yeah. And I think with the right team in front of him, he's a good keeper. When you're getting, especially
he was brilliant against us on a week at Celtic Park. He was unbelievable that day.
I thought he was as well. So you can see he's got it there. You know, and so maybe that's just a backup. I'm not saying he's the answer right now, but definitely somebody to keep an eye on and somebody that we can go on. He's a Bulgarian international, so he's playing games with them. Although they're not great shakes right now, that golden generation's far gone. Yeah. But I want to see that. So I want to see a big defender coming in, somebody that can take over, has got the same sort of presence and the coolness of the fridge, CCV. And then I want a striker. And if that means bringing Gigi back just for the rest of the season or buying up his contract for Santa Cruz or whatever Mexican mob he's with right now, maybe that's one answer. I mean, I would look at that. But also, I'd love to see us get a name. I mean, like an Ivan Toney type without the gambling issues.
Yeah, somebody who's got a bit of Premier League level experience, who's played in a top league and scored goals, and preferably somebody who's actually been playing regular and isn't going to take 5 or 6 weeks to get up to full fitness. There's a comment here I'm going to bring up as well from Tomo, and this is an interesting one. So we've talked about Tisdale obviously had to go, right? Because he was the man that recommended Nancy from working with his assistant manager years ago at Exeter. Not we've talked about other people. Now, you remember the video, Liam, when Wilfried Nancy walked up and who was there to greet him with a big bear hug when he stepped out of the car? Michael Nicholson, old Nick. And of course, Nicholson also did the video where before we played Dundee United, talking about, we're going to back the manager the next few windows. We're really excited about the project. So Tomo has said here a new CEO is required before the next manager appointment, because Nicholson seems to be, he's not free of criticism here. There is still a lot of people, but I feel like he is kind of going under the radar here, because this is a guy who, obviously, say Tisdale has been part of the problem and he's been removed. But Nicholson has obviously got he's got a long list of misdemeanors now since he's been in that position, and how he's been in the last few weeks with endorsing the manager and talking about and backing him and the show of support, hugging him and all that. So he was all in on Wilfried Nancy as well. So he was obviously bought in and believed that he was the right man for the job. And I think it goes without saying, Nicholson's another one that needs to go. He's one of the faces on the banners all the time with the big red circle through it. But yeah, CEO. But my worry there is, and while I totally agree with Tomo's comment, he'll just get replaced by another lowlight. That's my worry. It would need to be somebody coming in from the outside, a total new person with fresh ideas, like what we did with Don Mackay when we brought somebody in from the outside. But apparently he was moving too quickly for the Bhoys' liking, and that's why he was removed. He had a lot of ideas that they didn't like, too much breaking of the mold, essentially. But that's what we need. We need somebody like that. But I worry that they'd get rid of Nicholson to kind of, oh, look, we finally get rid of him, but then just appoint somebody else who's just another lackey, Liam.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what the job description is to identify someone for that position. Is it a figurehead? Or is it somebody that actually goes out there and makes the deals and runs the clubs and that? Because I don't think that's what Nicholson is. I mean, Nicholson was a lawyer that wrote contracts and stuff like that. So you can't replace him. I don't think replacing him with another lawyer is going to be the right thing, unless it's somebody like Martin O'Neill. So the rumour has it that he offered his resignation a few months back, but he's been told to just hold on until we get through this period and then maybe step down. But I don't know with Celtic. I mean, it could either be Gordon Strachan or somebody that headed up Police Scotland or something, for all we know. That would be the sort of appointment we would have, especially if Lowell's still in charge. I mean, you've got to remember, there's no eased up on the fans at all. The stuff that they've made a mess of on the park, they've also made a mess of stuff after the park as well too. These are appointing again all these like Police Scotland guys to come in and control our fans. And what I've seen on video and and things, with access to instant media and people able to film things, some of the behaviour of the stewards and people in and around Celtic Park, it's at a level I've never seen before. Ragdolling wee boys and things like that, and people brandishing knives like a Crocodile Dundee. Aye, that really happened. And then not coming out and discrediting that, letting that stuff grow legs as if it's that's going to be part of the story going forward. Just inviting that into the narrative itself is wrong. And so, you need somebody at the top that's going to run this club, but it's actually got the fans in mind as well. Miss the days of Fergus McCann. And that guy, he came out and he said what he had to say. Not everybody liked that, obviously. But you know what? He was up front and he was articulate about it, and he came out and he didn't mince any words. And right now, we have a mute board right now, and Michael Nicholson is ahead of that. Showing up just to clap up Nancy and having that, interview with Jerry McCulloch where, the notes I think were pasted on Jerry's forehead of what he had to say. I mean, it's big enough.
Yeah.
But I really hope it's not somebody like Gordon Strachan that comes in, because again, the last thing you want is another person that's out of touch with the regular fan base. You need somebody that just comes in that can straddle both worlds. Whether that's a Willie Haughey or I don't know enough of who's involved in Scottish business and politics and things like that. That would be a great appointment. I keep going to like ex-players and things like that. But look at guys like Ramon Vega, I think, is running a club in
Ramon Vega, I hear him on TalkSport quite a lot. He phones in
Yeah.
as an expert when they talk about Tottenham issues and when they really talk about Celtic stuff, and he talks really well. Like, he's very, very clued up. He'd be actually a good shout. I don't know if he's an agent nowadays. He comes across like he'd probably be a football agent these days, Ramon Vega.
He's running he was doing something with finance as well at one time as well.
Aye.
So like, it could be an interesting show, you know what I mean, for the CEO type position. The other one, I think this one could be interesting as well, is I think Samaras is involved in as a president of a football club, I think, in either Greece or Australia right now. Somebody can maybe check that out. But that was a man that very much took to the heart of what Celtic was all about. When I was listening to Lee Chesney on Open Goal, I actually watched that just because seeing what he wanted to say, and it was actually quite entertaining. One of the stories that he told was when Samaras was finished with his loan period, he had offers to go back to the Premier League, and he had offers from a lot of other clubs, but he chose Celtic because he really liked the vibe.
Yeah,
you know, and as you can see, I mean, he did get the vibe. I mean, what he did just to bring up, AJ Beattie, and I always talk about that because I always thought that was like that for me was Celtic values right there. You know, that moment when he picked him out the crowd and all that, and took him about when all the players had their kids and stuff on the park. I thought that was a brilliant move in it, and I think it galvanised a lot of support behind Samaras. Still don't think he got anywhere near the amount of support he deserved, but
I always loved Georgios Samaras. I was a big Georgios Samaras fan.
As well. Long hair, don't care. That's my vibe.
There you go. Exactly. Aye. Facial hair and all. Aye. Yeah. You've got you're basically what Samaras will look like when he gets to 60. That's exactly the long grey hair and the beard. Aye. That's it.
Oh, really? I played football. I was that. I was Conan the Herbarian was my nickname.
Well, we've got a few names here in the chat, and there's one that's came up actually. You've mentioned before. Kenneth Todd is saying Jackie McNamara in scouting. You've brought that one before. Pat was telling us that Ramon Vega is a self-made millionaire with several businesses. Do you know who else is a millionaire as well? Thomas Gravison, obviously from playing poker and marrying a stripper and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think I'm back in there. It would be wild. It would be absolutely wild. I mean, this season's been wild enough as it is, but Thomas Gravison, that would be a shout. Paul Elliott's getting a shout here. A few James say Paul Elliott. That's what he's doing right now.
Paul Elliott. Is Stephen Pearson doing something with Liverpool right now? Like he's head of football or something there?
Is it no Mark Burchell? Was this not discussed on the show?
It's Mark Burchell. Aye. Mark Burchell. He's doing there as well. I mean, that would be an interesting person. I don't know. Let's get the band back together or something. But you can tell that there is people out there that are outside of that initial just Strachan sphere, or whatever we call it. Gives me the fear. So I wonder if Gavin's going to hold on to his job.
Yeah, because I asked earlier on, I said, is Gavin Strachan away? But somebody in the chat had said it's only the ones that he brought in, his backroom team, the 3 or 4 guys that came with him, they're all gone. I wonder if Wilfried Nancy will end up back at Columbus Crew. He'll have left and be their new manager before their new season. It's a good chance that could happen. But yeah, I think we can finally just close the book on this wild chapter of this season and a wild chapter in Celtic's history. Wilfried Nancy, we hardly knew you. You came, you saw, you wrecked our fucking season, and then you disappeared. But hopefully, wee Martin is going to save the day. I don't have Terry's wee AI pictures handy, but I do like the one where he's got he's driving the Ferraris there. Martin driving in to save the day. I think he's doing like a Q&A thing tonight as well. I saw a video on WhatsApp. A friend sent it to me. I think he's something called Cypher or something like that. He's doing like a sort of like meet and greet Q&A thing. And as you can expect, he got an absolute hero's reception when he walked into the room. It looked like an electric atmosphere because the timing he's happened to be up here for this as well, for that event he was doing, and the pieces have all fell into place.
Well, I think he's missing an opportunity. See if he doesn't walk in, flip up the collar and just say,
"Oh yeah,
just when I thought I was out, you pull me back.
Pull me back in." Yes. Yeah, man. He's bad, but yeah, it's good because see when that Dundee game happened, right? And that was his final game, and he did the speech on the park, there was just something very uneasy about it where I'm like, this shouldn't end. Something feels wrong about what we're doing. Because I did say, and I put my hands up, I came on here plenty of times during that stint and said, I challenge the board to do something adventurous. Don't stick with Neil and Maloney for the rest of the season, because I just know what you're going to do, Celtic board. You're going to make Maloney the manager full time. So I challenge him to go and do something different. So I say, I hold my hands up and say, I was wrong. I was going wrong. But on that night, in the Dundee game, when he was doing his speech, the lap of honour, and he was emotional, and obviously a lot of the fans were upset about it. And it felt like, nah, we're making a mistake here. Something inside me was telling me that this is the wrong move. Like, you can see how much he was loving it. And then, of course, literally the next day, or the 2 days later, he's back on TalkSport saying, I would have been open to staying for the rest of the season if they just asked me. So then you're like, oh man, if this goes wrong with Wilfried Nancy, and he was willing to do it for the rest of the season. But hey, all's well that ends well, and it's all just came back around. It's been a weird 33 days, to say the least. But yeah, and I said at the top of the show, Fergus McCann's words, it's not easy supporting Celtic, but it is always certainly worthwhile. And yeah, never a dull moment with this team, and I imagine there'll be a few more wild moments this season, and it will continue to not be dull, Liam.
Aye, that's it. That's an hour, Phil. I've got.
That is. That is indeed. But yes, me and Liam will be back as usual on Friday for the Friday Feeling. It will not be renamed anything else. We'll have our Friday Feeling back again for that one. There is no midweek games this week. Hurrah! We could get a break. Because even though this change has happened, it's probably a good thing that they've got a full week now to work with the players. But yeah, we will be back on Friday night for the Friday Feeling and looking ahead to the Dundee United game. Hopefully there is a couple of players signed, or at least some strong links that we're getting some new players in. But I say a new era begins, but it's just the same era from a few weeks ago. Restarts. We've rebooted it essentially. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. God bless Martin O'Neill and his team. And Liam, thanks for jumping on tonight and doing this. And yeah, guys, tune in on Friday. Hit the like button, subscribe, all the good stuff on the way out. And we shall see you then. Catch you later, guys.